guys, today I'll be showing you how to do curbing for tracks. So as you can see here, I've just got a piece of road. Ignore the fact how many lines on it. I just set this up quickly. But I'm going to be showing you the different types of curbs you can do. So sausage curbs and just generally anything. It's much easier when you have a corner with a constant angle like this, so as you can see it's not fluctuating. Like for example, if I was to have one over here and then start building it and halfway through I change the angle, it's much easier to build a corner that, or curb on a corner that has this. So for just speed purposes for the video I'm just going to have a constant radius. But like elevation, I think that it's people just have their own methods of doing it, and I don't think it's very good to learn off of somebody, because you might find something else more efficient. But I'm just going to show you how I do my curbs, because so many people have asked it, and then at the end I'm going to show you how to do barriers really quick. So the first thing that you want to do is just highlight pretty much the whole corner, or the actual road section of the corner. Don't highlight these two bigger ones, but highlight all the parts inside the corner, if that makes sense. So now you've got on these, you'll want to set that snap to grid to 1, press Ctrl D to duplicate them, and then you want to drag these out by 5 studs. That's whatever track you want, but that seems reasonable for me. So sorry, I'm just quickly checking to make sure that's lined up. Okay, so now you've gotten these dragged out, I'd recommend colouring them something that contrasts well, so white always works usually. This isn't the final colour, don't worry. But now that you've gotten this far, you want to click on the resize center tool and go to 0.1 studs usually works. And you just want to, because usually you'll get this effect, and it'll be texture flickering and stuff with the ground, but obviously you don't want that, so you're going to highlight them and then use the resize center tool. I have that highlighted. Well, it's not highlighted. Okay, so now you want to click on the resize center tool and just make sure that you don't get the jagged edge effect. So now that they're all lined up, that's part of your curbing complete. Now what you want to do again, highlight them all. Make sure this is highlighted. Highlight them all, and then what I do is I click on the rotate object, and then angle them a bit. And you can, don't worry, this isn't grass, I know that. You can sometimes give them a little bit of an effect like that. I often don't do it because sometimes the Roblox chassis doesn't handle it very well. But you can if you want. I often just angle them. Move object onto your build suite and then move them all up, just so it's barely underneath there. So now you have that, you want to highlight every other one. And then go to colour, and then just colour it red. But there's still this effect here, the white and the bit overlapping. So again, you'll go to resize object, set that to 1. Drag that up, and then set the snap to grid back to 0.98 or .98. And drag that back down, and it gets rid of that effect. So those are some basic curbs that you can just use on your track. Sorry if that went a bit quickly, you can pause the video and stuff. But another thing I like to do is that instead of leaving this edge along here, I like to highlight them all again. Just highlighting the base. And then enable Archimedes, and then have them go back into the ground. There you go, and then it looks a bit nicer and a bit more rounded off. And also for the edges of the curbs, you can do the same thing, but instead of it going down that way, it can come down this way. There you go. And that's one section of curbs complete. Okay, so say you want to add some sausage curbing into this. It's probably not easier, but it's not really harder either. So first thing I want to do is get a cylinder. Now the mistake I always see loads of people making is that they always make half the cylinder above the ground, but that's not what you'll have to do. You want to get a big cylinder and put only about the top eighth of it above the ground. But first thing I want to do is get the selection tool and just drag it on one of the curbs, and all that does is just get it aligned, so you don't have to rotate it and worry about that. But now that that's been aligned to this, say we'll start the sausage curb on this red one and we'll end it on this red one. So now what we want to do is get it over, obviously rotate it the right way, and then just scale it up. So that's probably quite a nice size, and then what we'll do is we'll get it to the size of these curbs here, or roughly the size of the curbs, and then just put it into the ground like that. Okay, so now you've got your curb in the ground. Now what we want to do is turn on Archimedes, get it the right direction, and then you'll want to just go around the curbs, trying to keep a consistent angle. So I'm using the top of this ridge here to keep track whether it's going off centre or whatnot. And again, so if a lot of it I'm not just explaining, because most of this has just become sort of second nature to me. So I most of the stuff, if I forget to mention something, and yeah, sorry. But you can always pause the video and I suppose look at my mouse movements and stuff to track it a bit more. But I'm pretty much just using this ridge of the curb here, or where these two parts changed, to try and keep it lined up so that it's not, say, going in like this and then it comes a bit out of hand. It keeps consistent along the way. So I'll just speed this a little bit up when I finish this. Okay, so that is the majority of the curb completed. Now you've got to do the end. Now there's two things you can do for the end. One of them is you can put a sphere on the end here. And the other is just use Archimedes, which is much easier. Obviously just use an angle at 20. And then just put it into the ground. That's usually what I'd do. But it can just create these little gaps, which you can't really do much about. But it's just much quicker. And that's pretty much the sausage curb. And you can do some other things as well. Don't highlight a bunch of stuff with Archimedes as well. That is not recommended. You can do some other stuff, like in my track asset pack, I put some of these poles. Now, some tracks in the UK I know definitely have some of these, and these pretty much measure track limits. So, with your track timing system, you can put these in and it sort of shows a visual indicator of where the barriers are. So, yeah, that just a thing for general visuals, I guess. But just delete everything else in here. You can always get them all back if you just get the pack again. But I just place these around pretty close to the curbs. Not many cars want to run over these. And then, say put them every 10 studs apart. Try to keep them again at a consistent angle from this cylinder here. So that looks about 0.5 odd studs, whatever. So we'll just put that about there. This is where snap to grid is really your friend, because it helps you keep consistent, sort of, like, I know these are 10 studs apart from each other, so it helps keep really consistent, sort of, well, general, it just looks nice. I don't know how to explain it really, kind of lost the track. But yeah, you can always put these on, and that just helps the track looks a little bit. And then for exit curbs, they're much simpler. You just repeat this, but you do it obviously in a straight line, so you don't need to do any of that. You literally just get one part, and then turn on Archimedes, set that to 0 so it just goes in a straight line, and it just keeps creating multiple parts. And then just do the same thing where you grab every other block, colour it, and again, if you want to change the angle of them, there you go, and that's pretty much how you do exit curves. Not much different to these, just in a straight line obviously. But that is more or less how you do curbing. It's, again, something I encourage you find your own sort of method to doing it, but this is just how I do my curbs. So that's pretty much how you do curbs. Okay, so I've just made this little section, or not section, a corner pretty much, and I'm just going to demonstrate quickly how I make my barriers for tracks, because I also saw a couple people asking that. So again, I'll just use the barriers from the track asset pack I made. So they're here, so I need to delete everything else. There we go. Now I put two options in here. There's one with a fence and one without a fence, so I'll just do both. There's not much different. There's no difference actually, apart from just the fact there's a fence on one of them. But I'll put the fenced one down here. So pretty much you can put that wherever you want. I'll put that along here. There we go. And I'll have this one going up the hill. So making fences is actually very, very simple. There's almost nothing to it. Just align these real quick. Okay, so with fences, very, very simple thing. All you have to do is get out Archimedes and then literally go around the track using Archimedes on the barrier. So I'm gonna sort of follow this. Kind of rushing it, so that's why it's not perfect, but it's fine. Okay, so now you've got that. Now we're going to go up some elevation here. So you can look into the ground slightly and you can see where there's like a part change, if that makes sense. But pretty much what you do is you get the barrier and you line it up to where the seam is, or the part change. So you can see I've lined that up there. And on Archimedes, instead of going left and right, you go up and down. And when I was making this elevation, I used the angle 2.5. So we'll use that again. And then just click render. And again, we'll line it up to where the seam is. So the seam is here. It doesn't matter if it's perfect, as long as it's not floating. And then again, keep doing that. There we go. And that's how you do barriers. So that's one barrier along there now. And another quick thing for detail is every now and then just put a little cutaway in the fence. So this track would be, and then along this one here, where this is here, you make a little duplicate of this barrier, and then in the properties, or with the decal, just make that an orange, not grungy, just to make it an orange, get the same colour for the block so it doesn't look different. That's not really the same. That's gonna have to do. But get orange, pretty much on a real racetrack. These little orange cutaways mean that it's safe to stop if you've got like a fire or something on your car. But pretty much do those little cutaways and it gives you a little extra detail. And again, in the track asset pack, I have gotten some, probably turn off Archimedes when you're doing this stuff. I've got these little Marshall stands that you can just put there. These are slightly floating, so you need to put them in the ground a little bit. There we go. You can put these little Marshall stands along there. And also with these, you can put these anywhere you want. So I don't really have a space for them on here, but yeah, that's pretty much how to make tracks. This is curbs and barriers. No idea what I'll do next episode, so if you want any more, or just put in the comments what you want next episode and I'll do that then, I guess. But thank you for watching, goodbye.